What's up? Welcome to my channel. My name is Joshua. I'm an AI engineer currently based in Tokyo, Japan. The aim of this channel is for me to share my experience in my career as an AI software engineer and the things that I'm learning along the way and how I'm progressing in my career and the challenges that I'm facing. And hopefully you can also learn something from my experience. So as an AI engineer, most of my work is done in the Linux environment. However, some clients want their programs or their solutions to run on various kinds of environments, including Windows. And I find myself switching between Windows and Linux a lot. Currently, I've decided to keep using only Windows environment. Sometimes I switch back to Linux, but with the new Microsoft Windows subsystem for Linux, WSL2 for short, it's easy for me to use a Windows operating system while still developing all my solutions in the Linux environment. So this is what I want to share with you today. How can you develop in a Linux environment on a Windows machine? First, I want to talk about the Windows subsystem for Linux that Microsoft is developing and the things that I'm using personally in order to make it possible for me to develop in the Linux environment, even on a Windows machine. So what is WSL? WSL, or the Windows subsystem for Linux, is a compatibility layer for running Linux programs natively on Windows 10 and Windows Server 2019. WSL2 is a new version of the architecture that powers the Windows subsystem for Linux to run Linux binaries on Windows. This architecture changes how these Linux binaries interact with Windows and your computer's hardware, but still provides the same user experience as in the WSL1. To learn more, check the reference links in the description. And why do you need to use WSL? WSL requires fewer resources, that is your CPU, your memory, and your storage, than the full virtual machine. Compared to a normal virtual machine, WSL2 is not isolated from Windows, which means WSL2 also allows you to run Linux command tools and apps alongside Windows command line, desktop, and store apps, and to access your Windows files from within Linux and vice versa. WSL2 supports GPU in the virtual machine Linux environment. This allows performing more computationally heavy tasks as you would with a normal Linux system. And for me as an AI engineer, this is one big plus for me, because using a VM doesn't allow me to use my GPU to carry out some tasks I need to do. But with the new WSL2, I can easily do this. So what do you need? The first thing you need is a supported Windows version. The WSL2 is only available in Windows 10 version 1903, build 18362 or higher. So you should check your Windows version to make sure that you have a version of Windows that is higher than this. In order to do that, you can just press the Windows R button, then this comes out, and you can type WinVar, which is already here. I type it here, and you can see in this case for my Windows 10 system, I have an higher version, which is 18363. So which means I can use a WSL on this particular system. As a matter of fact, I'm going to demonstrate this on my home system right now just to show you the process of setting everything up. Next, you need the WSL2 and a desired Linux version. To enable the WSL2, you can go to the official Microsoft documentation, which I'm going to put the link down in the description below. As administrator, I'm going to do that. Done. Good. So next, I'm going to update to WSL2. Next, I'm gonna download the Linux environment that I want. You can use any Linux environment that you want. Here, I'm gonna use Ubuntu, but you can use the Kali. For those who are into security, you can use SUSE Linux. You can use Debian. So all of these are available in the Windows Store. So I'm gonna go to the Windows Store right now and gonna check for Ubuntu. Yeah, so I have 3 versions here. I'm going to use the Ubuntu 18.04. Install right here. This is done. So I had to restart my PC for this to take effect. Step 4, we download the Linux kernel update package for x64 machines. Open file. Now let's change the WSL version to 2. Then we start the WSL environment. Now you have Ubuntu running on the system. I'm gonna type my name. To make sure that we install the WSL2, we're gonna check for the version of the WSL that we have right now. So you type WSL LV, and now you can see Ubuntu 18 WSL running second version. And now I have a Linux environment. Here I can run a Linux command sudo apt update. Yeah, now I have a Linux environment running in the WSL. And I'm gonna try to upgrade. So what else do you need? I would advise to install the new Windows Terminal, which is the new modern take on the command line experience in Windows. It supports multiple applications such as the command prompts, the PowerShell, and the WSL, which can be accessed through multiple tabs and panes. Windows Terminal. We're gonna install the Windows Terminal. So let's launch the Windows Terminal and see. You can see the Windows Terminal here is much more pleasing to the eye, and I can add new tabs, as many tabs as I want, and I can run multiple different sessions. You have the PowerShell command prompt. I can also run my WSL here. I can also have panes. So pressing Shift-Alt-D would give me additional panes, and you can keep going like that. You can close each pane by pressing Ctrl-Shift-W like that. And the last one closes. Next, you need a good editor to help you in your development, and I'm recommending VS Code. VS Code, which is Visual Studio Code, is a lightweight but powerful source code editor which runs on your desktop and is available for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. It comes in with built-in support for JavaScript, TypeScript, Node.js, and it has a rich ecosystem extensions for languages such as C++, C#, Java, Python, PHP, Go, and runtime such as .NET and Unity. And one good thing about VS Code is extensions. And with the extensions on VS Code, I already have it installed on my system. If you don't know how to install it, you should probably check the link in the description. And you can see here it shows that you have Windows Subsystem Linux installed on your system. Do you want to install recommended extensions? Yes. So this is what I want to talk about. These extensions enables you to develop in the WSL2 while still being in your Windows. So it seems as if you are actually editing code in your Windows machine, but actually you are editing the code in the WSL2, and you can be exposed to as many features from the Linux environment as you would have in your normal Linux environment. So you install. So one last thing that I think you need is a way to run GUI apps from your Linux environment. Because WSL is not a GUI environment, you need this VC xsrv to be able to expose your system to run GUI apps on your Windows. To download the xsrv, just go to this link. I'm going to put it in the description also. Download. Next, you install. Now let's start the xsrv. Launch multiple windows. Start no client. Make sure to click this disable access control. Finish. Enable private and public networks. Allow access. Next, we go to our WSL environment. Easy way to go to WSL environment from Windows Terminal. You can click this, then it goes to the Windows Terminal, or you can type WSL here and it achieves the same thing. So what you're gonna do next is to expose the GUI from your WSL so that it can be shown in the Windows environment. You're gonna type and one way to make this permanent is to add this in bashrc. So I'm gonna edit the bashrc. Save. Since we already have VS Code here, you can also do code. So what happens here is that you can start code from inside your WSL and it connects with the code on your own PC. So you can, instead of using the Vim like I did right now, Vim is an editor that comes with the WSL. You can use the VS Code, which we already installed before. So this is just an initialization step for it. And this is what I just made just now, which is already there. So I don't need to change anything. Then probably we need to restart this. To test our display, let's try to install X11 apps. So we don't so apt install X11 apps. It's better. So X nice. Now you can see we can have, maybe I should put the GUI display here. Let's close that. Let's try Xcalc. It's a calculator environment from the Linux showing up in the Windows environment, and we can move the windows around, which is good. Next, I want to demonstrate running a GUI script from the Linux environment in my VS Code, and it's showing in my Windows PC. So I already have a script here which I'm going to open and run. If you want to know what the script is doing, you should check the video about using the agpas package in Python. So I have an image here which is in the same directory as the script that I have. I want to load this image and display it. So to start this in the Linux environment, we're going to say reopen folder in WSL. Now it connects to the Ubuntu system that I already have before. So I can run this and you can see it's the same thing that we had before in the Ubuntu environment. To set up the Python environment in my PC, I'm going to have to install Miniconda. I've already touched on this before. The process is the same. You just have to do it on the Linux environment this time. So I'm going to install Miniconda. I'm going to use that Miniconda package to set up the Python environment. So go to here. Now I'm downloading Miniconda. Now I'm going to run. No. To start Miniconda in this environment, I'm gonna do sorry. Now Miniconda environment is started, so I can create a new environment and say conda tutorial. It's done, so conda activate. Now install numpy, conda install py. Good. Now we can run a demo, read image. Here is Starry Night. Then operation. So you can see here, this is running in the Linux environment, and you can see here, it says display window, and you can see the icon of the xsrv here. So this is how you can do development in Linux on a Windows machine using all the things that I've shown you today. Let me know in the comments if you find this very useful. If you find this video useful, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. Don't forget to like the video and share with your friends. Till the next one, see you. Peace.